Okay, let's dive straight into this explainer. I want you to imagine putting yourself directly into the fins of a deep-sea diver. But you aren't sinking into any ocean you know today. No, you're sinking into the Western Interior Seaway. This is an ocean that predates humanity by 82 million years. And honestly, it's a good thing we're not on Earth right now, because the absolute second you slip beneath that surface, the rules of survival as you know them, they just completely vanish. So today, we're breaking down a simulated survival thriller based on this totally fascinating thought experiment. We're going to follow a dive team as they plunge into literally the deadliest prehistoric waters imaginable. Let's meet the team. We've got Marcus, he's a 15-year veteran whose whole life basically revolves around protocols and plans. There's Elena, our brilliant paleontologist, Dev, who's the cold, calculating numbers guy, and finally, Ray, the super careful, newly certified rookie. Their task is to reach an extraction point deep below the surface, and let me tell you, the tension is just palpable from the very first drop.
Section 1. Dive into the ancient ocean. 82 million years in the past.
So the descent begins, right? And they're wrapped in this comforting armor of the plan. They're running through their hand signals, checking gear. Marcus has a protocol for everything: equipment failure, panicking divers, you name it. And that surface-level preparation feels like impenetrable armor. As they pass through the first 10, 20, and 30 meters, the team is just met with absolute awe. Silver schools of ancient fish shimmering in these incredibly tight formations, just scattering out of their way. For Elena, the paleontologist, this is a profoundly emotional moment. I mean, decades of looking at flat fossils and rock impressions have suddenly become this fluid, living reality. She's actually crying behind her mask. It's incredibly beautiful. But as we're about to see, that beauty is totally deceptive.
Because the crucial turning point hits right here at 40 meters down. The water suddenly just feels wrong. The sensory details shift dramatically. It gets denser, heavier. It's inexplicably warmer than it should be, and the beams of their headlamps start to soften and bend unnaturally. Your compass might say north, but your inner ear is completely lost. And before you even see a physical threat, your ancient primal survival instincts start screaming at you that you're no longer an observer here. You're prey.
Section 2. When the plan fails, the erasure of Ray. We transition from this tense atmosphere into sheer pitch-black terror. Those silverfish that were following the team vanished. It's like they hit some invisible boundary they simply refused to cross. Now the team is left sinking into this thick darkness that just seems to absorb all light. And then that illusion of safety shatters instantly. First, a massive pressure wave hits hard from the side. Next, a blur of motion moves faster than the human brain can even process. And then, Ray is gone. The youngest, most careful diver on the team, the one who checked her gear 3 times, is brutally erased from existence. All that's left in the water is a dissolving red cloud where she was hovering just 3 seconds ago. This moment brilliantly illustrates the terrifying reality of deep time. Despite a teammate vanishing literally right before his eyes, Marcus clings rigidly to his training manual. The manual says to assess, secure, and continue moving to the extraction point. But here's the thing. It doesn't have a chapter for a predator so fast and efficient, it leaves 0 trace. But because protocol is all he knows, Marcus signals the remaining team to just keep swimming deeper into the abyss. And the descent quickly becomes a waking nightmare. Down at 60 meters, the realization sets in that human legs are just, well, meat attached to fins in an environment perfectly built for streamlined killers. By the time they hit 80 and 90 meters, the darkness feels like it has physical weight pressing against your mask. Oh, and to make matters even worse, Dev, our numbers guy, realizes his rebreather is quietly starting to fail. He's burning through his air way faster than the plan accounted for. Section 3. Monsters of the Deep. The apex predators approach. Right when the claustrophobia and tension feel completely unbearable, those shadows that have been quietly pacing the team at the edge of their lights, they finally decide to step into view. Elena spots the first one on the left. Guys, this isn't just a shark. This is a Cretoxyrhina, the Ginsu shark. We are talking about a 25-foot predator the size of a city bus, with a dead black eye that locks right onto the team. Marcus desperately reminds everyone through the comms to stay calm and keep facing it, since it's an ambush hunter. But his instructions are immediately interrupted. Because rising from the absolute blackness directly below them is a Tusoteuthis. This is a 70-million-year-old giant squid pulsing upward, sporting dozens of tentacles and a hard, curved beak roughly the size of a human head. So the team is now perfectly trapped between two prehistoric nightmares. And guess what? That surface manual has absolutely zero protocol for being flanked by two different prehistoric apex predators. Now at 95 meters, the team is facing some impossible math. And Dev is already coldly calculating these numbers in his head. His air is failing, you've got a giant shark to the left, a giant squid below, and a grueling 200 meters left to the extraction point. Dev is already figuring out who is going to slow them down and who might just have to be cut loose. But the ocean makes that choice for them. Elena drops back just 15 feet to document a creature with her camera, and in a burst of unseen horrific violence from below, she is ripped completely out of the water column. The truly devastating part, she reaches out helplessly as she's dragged down into the dark. All of her years of scientific knowledge, her deep understanding of these exact creatures, completely fails to save her. Knowing the ocean absolutely doesn't mean you can beat it. Section 4. Enter the Mosasaurus, the true apex predator. So now, down to just 3 divers, Marcus, Dev, and you. Dev reaches for his bilt and triggers the extraction beacon. It sends out this massive sound wave to signal the surface team. But instead of bringing rescue, that ping causes a sudden, totally terrifying reaction. The giant Ginzu shark and the monstrous squid, they scatter. They literally flee into the darkness in absolute terror. Which brings us to a really horrifying question. What kind of monster makes 2 massive apex predators run for their lives? The water ripples with a massive pressure wave. It's a shift in the current that tells you whatever is at the very top of this prehistoric food chain just heard your dinner bell, and it has arrived to investigate. Out of the black glides a 40-foot Mosasaurus. This is an apex marine reptile moving with the slow, terrifying, patient confidence of a creature that has literally zero competition. It doesn't swim like those jerky animations you see in a museum. It moves fluidly, perfectly evolved across 60 million years for one single purpose: killing. And right now, it is deciding if you are worth eating. Dev, ever the numbers guy, calmly hops on the comms and lays out the grim reality of their situation. You cannot outrun it. Even without your heavy gear, you just die tired. Fighting is a complete joke. They have 1 harpoon gun, and this creature's hide is 4 inches thick. You could empty the weapon point blank into its face and it wouldn't even blink. Section 5. The final fatal choice. Protocol versus reality. We've reached the point where the rules of humanity, our desperate need for structure and safety, collide head-on with the cold, raw, and indifferent numbers of survival in deep time. Marcus stubbornly refuses to abandon his 15 years of strict, no diver left behind protocol. He just cannot compute operating without his rules. But Dev accepts the grim mathematical reality. The Mosasaurus is faster than them, but it's only one animal. The math is simple, brutal, and undeniable. 1 death or 3. Someone has to become bait, so the other 2 get a 60-second window to reach the extraction zone. And Dev doesn't wait for permission. He intentionally stops swimming, breaking formation, and making himself an incredibly easy target to draw the beast's attention. But Marcus, completely unable to let go of his protocol, breaks formation to swim back and try to save him. In a single, brutal half-second, the Mosasaurus strikes. Its jaws open and close, and both men, the one who followed the numbers and the one who followed the rules, are instantly swallowed. Section 6. What surviving really means. The surface and the silence. Left entirely alone in the blood-stained water, something suddenly bumps your hand. It's Dev's backup light, thrown to you in his final millisecond because the math said you still had a chance. Grabbing it, you turn and sprint the last 200 meters to the extraction zone, pushing your burning lungs and kicking as fast as humanly possible, not even daring to look back. Breaking the surface, you hit real air. But as the crew pulls you onto the boat, they're frantically chattering about decompression stops, nitrogen levels, and dive protocols. You just sit there in numb shock, Dev's light still clipped to your belt, completely oblivious to their noise. You realize just how utterly useless their rules are against the deep time you just crawled out of. 4 teammates were erased, and the crew is asking about the ascent manual. The horrifying takeaway of this entire scenario hits you as you sit there watching the sun set over the water. You didn't beat this place. Your training, your gear, your team's preparation, none of it meant anything. You only lived because the apex predator was already full by the time you swam away. Evolution simply hasn't made humans capable of conquering that kind of environment. We leave you with this final, chilling thought from the source material we explored today. The ocean doesn't negotiate. It just takes. So, What does human survival or preparation actually mean in a world where millions of years of perfectly engineered predatory evolution remain utterly indifferent to your very existence? Food for thought.